Okay, so morning everyone. Today we will discuss about virtual machines. So in these virtual machines, what we used to learn is about virtual machine, how to create VM, and then how to connect VM using Bastion, how to resize VM, how to take backup to recovery service vault, how to take image from VM, how to push it to shared gallery. Okay, so first point is about VM. So basically, virtual machine we will use to host any kind of application. So but the traditional virtual machine has, you have one virtual machine. Inside that, you must have one operating system installed. On top of that, you need to install any kind of applications. For example, if you utilize this VM to host a web server or to host an application server or to host one database server. Okay, so for any purpose, you can utilize this virtual machine. Okay, so if you want to store your data, or if you want to host any kind of applications for any purpose, you can utilize this virtual machine. So this virtual machine comes under infrastructure as a service component. So they are simply offering you an infrastructure. On top of this infrastructure, you can create anything, you can host anything. So that is the reason we are using virtual machines. Now we'll see how to create a virtual machine in Azure portal. Coming to the virtual machine itself, at the moment we have two type of virtual machines available. One is a virtual machine with Windows as operating system, and second one is virtual machine with Linux flavors. I'm talking about, mark my words, Linux flavors. It could be Fedora, it could be CentOS, it could be Debian, it could be Red Hat, it could be Mac, it could be Ubuntu. All those things are Linux flavors. So with Linux flavored operating systems, there are two type of virtual machines available. You can create Windows virtual machine or you can create Linux flavored virtual machines. So how we will create and all this stuff we'll see now. So to create a virtual machine, go to portal.azure.com. Then in the search for virtual machines. So if you search for virtual machines, you'll get like this. Click on the virtual machine. Okay. Then try to create a virtual machine. It will give you some options here. Azure virtual machine with preset configuration, or if you have any certain type of virtual machine, by default, Azure is offering some kind of functionality to tell you what kind of virtual machine you require based on your requirement. So better to go for Azure virtual machine, plain Azure virtual machine only. Don't go for any other things. So click on Azure virtual machine. So if you click on Azure Virtual Machine, just remember what are the prerequisites or what are the basic things or minimum things required to create a virtual machine. Just keep an eye because these minimum things or these mandatory things is required when you're trying to create a virtual machine by using infrastructure as a code templates. For example, Bicep or ARM or Terraform or Pulumi or Tofu or anything. Okay, so if you go to the, first of all, you need to select the subscription, which subscription you are going to create and under which resource group you are going to create this virtual machine. Next one is virtual machine name. So this name I am giving as something like test VM, but in your real-time environment, you have certain syntax follows. Just follow that syntax. The next one is you need to select the region, under which region you are going to create your virtual machine. Okay, this reason is very important. Next one is availability options. So here, if you see this availability, you have availability zone and virtual machine scale set and availability set. There are three concepts were there. One is availability zone and second one is virtual machine scale set and third one is availability set. So what is the difference between availability zone, availability set and virtual machine scale set? This we will discuss bit later. For now, you can select no infrastructure redundancy required. So this availability means for your disaster recovery. If something has happened to the virtual machine, what you should do. So to prevent that disaster recovery, you want to maintain any replicas or you want to maintain any regional specific, let's say you are keeping your server in East US region. You want me to keep the backup in West US region or you want me to do the backup in Canada Central region. So it is asking like that. So I will tell you what is meant by these things bit later. For now, I don't want any redundancy, any infrastructure backup required. So that's why I'm selecting as a no infrastructure redundancy required. Next one is security type. So if you select the security type, so here you have three type of security types available. One is standard. Here, if you see the definition, the basic level of security for your virtual machine. If you select for trusted launch virtual machine, it has certain protection available or certain protection already implemented to prevent certain kind of attacks. Or if you go for confidential virtual machine, it is more of protection. Okay. For now, you can go for standard or you can go for trusted launch virtual machine. Anything is fine. In real-time environments, they will either go for standard or go for trusted launch virtual machine. If you have a banking sector or if you have a more restricted environments, then they will prefer confidential virtual machines. But there is no difference. The only thing is from their Azure backend side, they are implementing certain security mechanisms to protect the virtual machines with the attacks. For I go for standard is absolutely fine, or go for trusted lens also fine. So now next part is you need to select the image for the virtual machine. Here you need to decide you want to go for Windows one or you want to go for Linux flavored ones. If you go search for the drop down, you list some kind of images. If you want to go for some any additional stuff, you go for see all images. If you search for see all images, it will show you all the images available. If you want to go for Windows Server, you need to go for Windows Server. Here, if you click on select, you will see all the Windows Server related options. You can select anyone. Anyone if you want to select that you can select. For example, I selected Windows 2022. So that is getting like this. So if you select this one, you will see the casting and everything also. Okay. So if you see, if you select this image, and next you need to select the architecture, that is 64-bit architecture. And this part will tell you a bit later. And next one is size you need to select for that VM. If you select on the sizes, so if you see the drop down, if you are getting the grayed out ones, you can see all sizes. Click on see all sizes. Here you will see it. There are certain kind of series available with description. For example, DC series is there. This is designed to protect the confidentiality and integrity of the code or general purpose workloads. Or it is older generation. It is size insufficient quota or uncompatible or supported versions. There are certain kind of codes you will see. So based on the code, you will select. For example, DC series, if you go, you have certain kind of virtual CPUs, certain kind of RAM, how much data disk it is acceptable, input out of operations, how much you can do, and what is the cost per month. What is the cost per month? So here you have to select based on your requirement, how much CPU required, how much RAM you required. You need to select the respective one. If you click on the select, it will come there. Okay, it will come there. So if you take this one, okay. It for it is a free tier. It is saying that the size is currently unavailable for East US. Okay, you can select any other size. For example, if you go here, you can select any other size. Yeah, it's fine. Now coming to the Azure Spot discount. What is meant by this Azure Spot discount? So Azure Spot discount is nothing but you are selected to utilize one virtual CPU and 8 GB of the memory. But when you create your virtual machine, all the 24 by 7, you are not utilizing 100% of the your CPU, 100% of the your memory. But in that time, if you click on this Azure Spot discount, what they will do from the backend, for example, if you are using only 4 GB of the memory and remaining 4 GB of the memory is there, right? For that 4 GB of the memory, they will allocate to some other person, and for that 4 GB utilization, they will give you the discount. Whenever you require your 100% of the 8 GB memory, they will give you. But whatever the memory, if it is not utilized, they will allocate this part to some other. That is called Azure Spot discount. If you click on, if you see here, Azure Spot offers unused Azure capacity at a discounted rate. Okay, they will give. If you want to select, you can select it. Their capacity or price or capacity, there are certain options. Okay, so better in your real-time environments, no one prefers this option. because you don't know whenever you require your 100%. And I don't want to allocate whatever the memory or whatever the CPU I have allocated to the my virtual machine. I don't want to give any other ones. So that's why you need to keep it is disabled. Okay, uncheck in your real-time environments. And coming to the hibernation. Hibernation is nothing but it's kind of while deallocating your virtual machine, okay, while coming up your virtual machine, it saves some time. If you want, you can enable it. By default, it will be enabled in your real-time environment, but somehow with that size I have selected, it is not allowing me to check this marks option. And next one is you need to provide one username and password for this virtual machine. So I am giving the username is test user, and I need to give one password here. If you observe the password, it is giving certain what I can say, certain requirements. See, when you are using infrastructure as a code, like Terraform, you are creating this virtual machine, or Bicep, you are creating this virtual machine, or PowerShell, you are creating this virtual machine. While you are providing your password, you need to keep all these things. The value must be between 12 to 130, 123 characteristics long. The value must not be empty. The password must have three of the following. It must have one lowercase, it must have one uppercase, okay, it must have one number, and it must have one special characteristic. Out of these lowercase, uppercase, character, number, and special characters, at least three must be available. So you need to keep this fine. So I am giving this password. That is absolutely fine. I am confirming the password. Okay. And next, I'll show you the password also. It's not a big deal. Uh, it was not. Okay. So it should be like one upper letter, lower cases, special characteristics, and numbers. Okay, you can keep anything, whatever you want. You can keep it anywhere, any format, but it should have uppercase, lowercase, and numbers and characteristics that you need to remember. And next one is inbound port rules. So if you want to allow anyone to connect this virtual machine with the port, it will by default opens 3389 port by creating one network security group, or else I will create anyway this virtual machine I am putting under one subnet, and that subnet has one network security group, and that network security group I'm anyway opening this 3389 port. So I don't want to create separate network security group for this. Then you need to select none. If you select allow selected ports with your VM name, it will create one separate network security group. I don't want that one. So I have an existing network security group, and I want to allow port 3389 there only. Then you can select none. Or if you want to create here itself, while creating the VM itself, it will allow. It will allow. If you want to allow SSH, you can allow. If you want to allow RDP, you can allow. Or if you want to allow port HTTP, HTTPS, anything you can allow from here itself. So it will create a dedicated network security group, and whatever the rules you have selected, it will be open. For Windows operating system, you will choose RDP. For Linux operating system, you will choose SSH. That's it. Okay. And click on next. And now if you observe here, it is asking encryption at host. If you want to encrypt at host level, yes, you can keep it check mark if it is available, or else you can keep it as it is. It doesn't matter. And coming to the operating system disk, that is your C drive. By default, it is giving 127 GB. No, this 127 is not enough for me. Then you can select your size. You can keep 128, you can keep 256, you can keep 512, you can keep 1 TB, you can keep 2 TB. It's up to you. For now, I'm good with 127. The next one is disk type. Now, at the recent days, in previous we have hard disks. Now they are SSDs. SSD, the difference between HDD and SSD is SSD is most responding to the most operations, fast responding to the operations. So immediate operating system up, immediate data retrieval, low latency. So that is the advantages of the SSD. If you're selecting this also, it is giving you one suggestion. So if you want to select standard HDD1, best for backup, non-critical, and infrequent access type of virtual machines. If you go for standard SSD, best for web servers, lightly used enterprise applications, and dev or test environments. But if you want to create this VM for production environment, this is suggesting best for production and performance sensitive workloads. So based on your required environment where you are going to create this virtual machine, you have to select the respective size. For now, I'm creating for dev or testing purpose. I'm choosing the standard SSD one. Based on the SSD you selected, the size will be, the cost will vary. And next one is delete with VM. So whatever the disk you are creating, you want me to delete this disk after this VM deleted. So if you want, you can check it, or if you want, you can uncheck it. If you uncheck it, the VM will be deleted, but the operating system disk will remain there in the disks part. Anyway, disk is a separate resource. Separate resource. So whatever the disk you are creating here, it will be created in here also, in the disks part also. Okay. And next, so you created a disk. How you are going to access that disk from this VM? So if you want, you can create one key that is called customer managed key, or else you can use platform managed key. So what is meant by this platform managed key? The Azure itself from the backend, it will create a key and it will try to use that key when it is trying to access that particular operating system drive from this virtual machine. Or else, if you want, you can create one customer managed key from the outside, and then you need to use that customer managed key also. It's absolutely fine. So preferably, you can use platform managed key. And next one is ultra disk compatibility. It's nothing but it's fast operations and the more resilience and more efficiency. You can use enable ultra disk compatibility. Then that's absolutely fine. And next one is data disk. You are talking about C drive as of now. What about D drives, E drives, F drives if you want to keep anything? That comes under data disk. Your C drive comes under OS disk. So if it comes to the data disk, here you have LUN number, name, size, disk type, host caching, and delete with VM option. So like if you want to attach any data disk or create any data disk, there are two options are there. One is I don't have any existing data disk. I want to create a new one. Yes, you can go for this option. I have an existing data disk already. I want to use that data disk, then you can use attach an existing disk. If you go for at the moment, I don't have any existing data disk. If you want to create a new data disk, select this option. Now it is asking the data disk name and the source type. Currently, it is an empty data disk. Or else, if you want to store an existing storage blob as a data disk, or if you already taken your drive as a backup, that drive backup we used to call it as snapshot. At the moment, I have a VM. That VM has a D drive, and I have taken the backup of the D drive that is called snapshot. With that snapshot or with that backup, I want to create a new drive. Then you can select the snapshot option. Or you have a storage account. Inside the storage account, you have a blob. Inside the blob, you have a data and I want to utilize that blob as a drive, you can select that option. Or I want to create an empty drive, that you can select none. Size. So what is the size for your data disk? For example, if you want 1024 GB or 1 TB size, you can select it. No, 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 I don't want this much. I need only 50 GB. Yes, you can click on change the size. Here you have certain sizes 4 GB, 8 GB, 16 GB, 32 GB, 64 GB, like that. Whatever the size you selected, you can select it. Or else, for example, my requirement is 50 GB, but 50 GB is not there. Where you will get the 50 GB? Just come down. Here you have a custom disk size. Here you can select 50 GB. Okay, now you have a performance type, the standard or premium. So like P means premium. So S means standard. So how much operations, input output operations you are going to perform? 50 Mbps per second, 120 Mbps per second, 250 Mbps per second. It's up to you. Okay, you can select it. But anyway, that is not mandatory. That is not mandatory. Just click on it so that your 50 size GB, 50 GB data disk is ready. Again, for this data disk, how you are going to encrypt? You are going with customer managed key or you are going with platform managed key. For now, I'm going with platform managed key. Means Azure will take how you need to connect this virtual disk from your virtual machine. It will take. Next part, you want to enable this as a shared disk. This option will be available for large size disk or based on the size you have selected. Shared disk is nothing but let's say you have 5 virtual machines. For example, you have one virtual machine, two virtual machine, three virtual machine, and you want to utilize one drive for all these virtual machines. For example, I want to use this as a drive for this VM. I want to use this as a drive for this VM. I want to use this as a drive for this VM. This is called shared drive. There it is allowing the option how many number of VMs you want to utilize this disk as a shared VM. If you select as a shared VM, it will ask you the count. If you select as a 3, then it will allow you to use this as a shared drive for 3 VMs. Okay, if you want to use delete disk with VM, you can select this one so that when the VM is going to delete, then this disk also going to delete. That is the option. So if you have all an existing disk, so you can use attach an existing disk. If you click on attach an existing disk, if in the drop down, it will show you the available disks. Just select that disk. That's it. Nothing needs to be done. That's it. And just go for networking part. So if you go for the networking part, under which VNet I want to keep this VM, under which subnet I want to keep this VM, and coming to the public IP, see, virtual network is mandatory, subnet is mandatory, but public IP is not mandatory. Okay, so without public IP also you can create a VM. So now I don't want to use public IP for my VM. So if you want to create a with public IP, yes. If you have an existing public IP, you can utilize it, or else you can create a new public IP. The bracket new means it is creating a new public IP. I don't want a new public IP. I want to create none. None means public IP is not required. Next one is what about network interface card or network security group? You are going to create a new, if you select this option as a basic, it will create one network security group with this 3389 port open. No, I don't want to create any security group. I have an existing security group for this subnet attached already. Or if you select on basic, it will create a new security group. If you select an advanced, again it will give you the same options. What is the security group name? The security group name it is creating is test-VM-energy. I don't want to create network security group dedicatedly for this VM. Instead, I will create network security group for this entire security group, sorry, entire subnet. Okay, in that scenario, you can choose none. No, 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 I don't want to protect my entire subnet with network security group. I want to protect only my VM. In that scenario, you can choose basic or advanced. There it will allow you what type of port I want to create. So with that port, it will create a new security group. And then delete network interface card with when VM is deleted. Network interface card is mandatory to enable the network drivers for your VM so that when you have a NIC network interface card, then only you can attach one network IP address to that VM. So that is called network interface card. So that network interface card, you want me to delete when this VM is deleted. Yes, if you want, you can select it. Anyway, the best preferable option is you can delete it. Whenever the VM is deleted, you can delete this network interface card. The next time new VM is going to create, with that VM, the new network interface card will be created anyway. Next, the accelerated network is not important. You can check it or uncheck it. It's not a big deal. Next one, load balancing. For now, I'm keeping it as none. What is meant by this load balancer? What is meant by this application gateway? We will discuss once we are discussing about this particular topic. I will explain you this thing later. For now, I don't want any load balance for this VM. I want to create a simple VM. That's it. So I selected as a none. Next one is management. If you go to the management, here you will see an option called Microsoft Defender for Cloud. As I told you, the Microsoft Defender for Cloud is meant to scan for any vulnerabilities or scan for any issues you got in the virtual machine. It will show you some suggestions and it will give you some recommendations. The next one is identity. This identity we will discuss when you are talking about RBAC, role-based access management, and the Active Directory part. During that time, we will discuss about this identity. And you want to allow this virtual machine with Microsoft Entra ID. If you want, you can check it so that the Entra ID means whoever the users on this Azure portal, so they can able to log in with this virtual machine with their user ID and with their password. If you don't want to use that particular person, I have a dedicated account, so only that account only needs to be logged in, then you can disable this option. But in the real time, preferable option is you can use Entra ID. Okay. It's up to you. If you check it, uncheck it based on your requirement, based on your environment, you can utilize. The only option is if you select this option, whatever the user credentials you are logging with portal.azure.com, right? With that credential, you can able to log into the virtual machine. Next one is auto shutdown. If you want to shut down this VM on a regular basis, if you select this option, you will get the timings when to shut down, on which day, on which time I want to shut down. Or if you want to during that shutdown, it will send you the mail to that particular people. So during this time, it is going to shut down. The preferable option is don't use this auto shutdown. So if you require, then in real-time environment, then only you can configure. Unless if it is a production environment, if you schedule auto shutdown, then the production environment will be shut down in that time. So don't do that. Your machine should be up and running 24/7, 365 days. Next one is backup part. If you want to take the backup, you need to enable this backup option. Then it will ask you where I need to take the backup. I need to take it to the recovery service vault. Recovery service vault is a separate service. Recovery service is a separate service. Recovery service vaults. Okay. So these are the service which we can utilize to take the backup. Okay, so if you select on the backup, it is asking under which recovery service vault I want to take the backup. So policy type, you need to select a policy when I need to take the backup every day, only once a day, or every 30 minutes or 40 minutes. You need to have certain policy here. If you see the policy, you need to create a policy and which time and which particular thing I want to take the backup. That based on that policy, it will try to create a backup and it will send that backup to the recovery service vault. And next one is guest OS updates. This is very important. If you are using this guest OS update, if you uncheck this hot patch. If you uncheck this hot patch, I'll tell you what is meant by hot patch. So if you talk about OS updates, it's nothing but every 90 days or every 30 days or every 40 days, Microsoft will release certain updates in the operating system, and it will update install that update on your server. Once that update is installed, then your VM will be rebooted. If that update requires reboot, then your VM will be rebooted. No, in that scenario, what you need to do? So in some cases, you have certain applications running on the server, but there is one update installed. After that update, that functionality stopped working. When you see your phones also with certain updates, certain functionalities of your phone stops working. Okay, the reason is with that update, it is stopping that future. So that is the reason I don't want to take the risk. Okay, whatever the updates you are getting now, that I don't want to install automatically. I want to go for manual updates. Here there is an option called manual update. So in your real-time environment, you will get this option. You have to always select manual updates only. You manually go and you manually update that. How you can do the manual update? Just go to the server. First, I'll go to the server number one. Okay. Here, I'll do my updates. I'll test everything. If I feel everything looks good, then only I'll come to the server and I'll update here. Okay. If you do the automatic, what it will do? It will update installs on the, it will update or it will install the update on the all three servers. If something is happened, all three will be collapsed. Right. That is the reason I don't want to go for automatic updates. Instead, I'll go for manual approach. If you go to the manual update, you manually go and install here and check it. If everything works fine, then only you can install in other servers. That's the reason manual update is preferable. Yes. Next one is reboot setting. Right. You selected as a manual or you selected as anything. If that particular update requires reboot, then if you select as a reboot, if required, if that application requires any reboot, then only it will reboot. Always reboot means for any small update, it will reboot. Never reboot means although it requires any reboot, I don't want to reboot my system. So that is the setting you need to put it. Based on your requirement, based on your environment, you need to select this particular option. And coming to this hot patch, what is meant by this hot patch? Hot patch is nothing but although your update requires reboot, it will install that update without reboot. That is called hot patch. Hot patch is nothing but hot patch allows you to take critical and security updates for your virtual machine without restarting. So without restarting, it will try to install your updates. That is about hot patch. That's it. Next part is monitoring part. So if you want to enable monitoring for your virtual machine, you need to enable this particular option. For example, alerts you can take if you want to create monitoring for VM, like how much CPU it is consuming, how much memory it is consuming, what is the response time it is taking. So all the alerts, if you want to configure, you need to select this option. Okay, and if you want to diagnose any boot issues or anything, then you need to enable this option. So if you enable this option, it will send all the logs to the dedicated storage account by defaultly to the Azure, or else I want to send it or I want to receive it to the my own storage account. Then you can select your own storage account. It will ask you the storage account details. Okay, for every environment have their own storage accounts defined. They used to select their own storage account, the storage account name they used to give it, so that you need to enable the diagnostics so that whatever the issues in the boot level or operating system level, that will be logged under your storage account. For now, I don't want to require, then you can disable it or you can enable it. It's up to you. And now health. Enable application health monitoring. If you want, you can enable it, or if you want, you can disable it. If you enable the health monitoring here, by defaultly it will search for slash on port number 80, or else anyway everybody utilizes their own way of mechanism for health monitoring. They have created certain pages in the server and they'll trying to hit that pages. If they receive a response for that page, they feel that the server is healthy. So they used to set up their own health mechanism. So let it be. You can keep uncheck this option. Next one is advanced part. The advanced is nothing but if your VM required any dedicated extension means it's certain third party tool you required any kind of extension. So if you select on this extension, you have these tools available. For example, you want to install the antivirus, the aids or the agent for monitoring or application insight or Azure AD based Windows login or kind of pipeline agent or chef you are going to install on the VM or Datadog you are going to install on the VM or Dynatrace you are going to install on the VM. They are the third party tools. If you want to install these third party tools on that VM while the creation itself, you can use this extensions part. Okay. If you have any particular virtual machine applications you are going to install along this VM, you can install it. Those applications you will get it under marketplace. If you have any applications existing available, if you can select them. Your organizations create any applications that will be available here. And next one is custom data is nothing but script. For example, if you want to run a code or if you want to run anything while creating the VM itself, you can run that script. You can put the script here. Then it will run that script while creating the VM itself. And then user data. User data is not required, and these are also not required. Host group, this is very important. What is meant by this host group? Host group is nothing but your organization having one group policies, or your organization having one host group created. That means you have a 10 virtual machines. The 10 virtual machines belongs to XYZ organization, or ABC organization, or BCE organization. That host group you need to create, and that host group come here drop down, and that host group, when you select it, this VM will be belongs to that particular host group. That particular Active Directory people, they used to manage this virtual machine for their group policies. That is about host groups. And capacity reservations, this is also not required. Proximity placement is nothing but whatever the region you have, it will place the close to that particular data center, that virtual machine. For example, you have 10 virtual machines created, it will try to keep close that virtual machine as a region, as nearby. So proximity placement group allows you to group Azure resources physically closer in the same region. And then within the same region, you have a multiple data centers, and each data center has a multiple racks. It will try to keep in a nearby place. That is about proximity placement group. If you have any proximity placement groups created, then you have to select one. But the real-time environment, they will not use these things. Okay. And next one is tags part. You know about the tags. And next one is review and create. When you click on review and create, it will review all the validations. It will show you how much cost it will be per hour or per VM. This much cost it will take, and the size we have selected and everything. And if you want to select, you can create it. That's it. It will take a bit minute, and it will try to create a virtual machine. So this way we will create a VM. So your deployment is completed now. So if you click on go to resource, it will reach out to your VM. Now you can see we have created a VM, but we don't have any public IP. If you see here, we don't have public IP here. If you go to the networking part, here you can see only private IP. We don't have a public IP. So with this private IP, you can't directly connect your VM. So if you want to connect a VM, MSTSC, and if you go for 10.0.0.4, it will not allow you to connect, because it's a private IP which you can't resolve in your internet. It can't be resolved and it can't be connected. Okay, so to connect this private hosted VMs or private IP VMs, you need a bastion, or you need a gateway, or like there are many tools available in the market like Citrix, and you have many tools available in the market. You can utilize the tools to connect it. All those things will be utilized as a bastion purpose. Now we'll work on one scenario. So we'll work on one scenario, that is, this is one spoke VNet with a range of 1.1.0.0/16. So I need to create one VNet. Inside that VNet, we'll create one subnet with range of 10.1.1.0/24. So I created one subnet. So this subnet will vary from 10.1.1.0 to 255. And now I'll create one VM here. This is my VM. And for this VM, the IP address must be 10.1.1. From the 0 to 255, it will come any one IP. It will assign any one IP from this range. So if you want to create a VM, if you want to get this IP, you need to have one subnet designed. And in that subnet, you need to design one subnet, one VNet, and then design one subnet. Out of that subnet range, it will take one IP address. Okay, so this way you can create one private IP enabled VM. So if it is public IP, then it's fine. But in real-time environments, we will not use public IP enabled VMs. So we are working on the scenario where we need to work on private IP enabled VM. So now we have a VM. Now with this VM, there are two options. If you want to create network security group for this VM, yes, we can create, or else we can keep one network security group for this entire subnet. So there is one network security group to protect the inbound and outbound traffic. This is called NSG. So this energy we need to create. Yes, we have energy. Now, anyway, these are public enabled, private IP enabled virtual network and private enabled subnet and private IP enabled VM. So this, if you want to access from your local, this you are going to access from your environment, it will not be accessible because it is private IP enabled. Private IP can't be resolved from the internet. So how we can do that? In this scenario, what you need to do, you need to create one more VNet, one more VNet. This VNet, we used to call it as hub VNet. So here you need to define range for this hub. Okay. So we need to define a hub VNet. This hub VNet have one subnet. This subnet, I want to host, I want to filter my topic based on the Bastion server or Bastion subnet. I want to host Bastion inside my hub VNet. For this Bastion, there might be one subnet dedicatedly designed. So I have one Bastion subnet. So within this Bastion subnet, I am keeping one Bastion. This is called Bastion. Okay, this Bastion having public IP. This Bastion having public IP. This Bastion having public IP. Now, from this scenario, what is accessible from this scenario? From this internet, the public IP will be accessible anyway. Okay, so now the traffic is entering to your network. Now, whatever the traffic enter into your network by using this public IP to the bastion, it will filter. So whether the incoming traffic is correct or not, what resource is going to access, is going to access the VM. So is correct or not, it will check it. But to establish a connection from this bastion or from this hub VNet to this spoke VNet, you need to do peering between these two, the hub and spoke VNet. You need to do the peering. Yes, I did the peering. Now, if you do the peering, now if someone requests the VM from this, from internet, it must be passes via Bastion and it is success here, then it will forward that request to the that respectable VM. So this way, you need to connect your private IP enabled VM by using Bastion. For example, you may have any kind of virtual networks you may have. For example, you have one more VNet, and within that VNet you have few more subnets, and within that subnet you have created few more VMs. But still, if you want to access those VMs, you need to access via Bastion only. Again, they will establish one peering connection from that hub to this spoke. This is also one more spoke to example. Okay, so like this, how many virtual networks you have? For all those virtual networks, those are paired with your hub to the spoke. And if anybody want to access these VMs from the internet, then first we need to allow them to our network by using this Bastion. So with the help of Bastion, they used to connect the respective VMs. So this is the basic funda everyone follows. Now we'll see the same scenario. We'll create one hub VNet, we'll create one spoke VNet, we'll try to peer between them, and we'll create one VM within that. And within the same hub VNet, we'll try to create a bastion. First, we'll complete the scenario of hub VNet, and then we'll come to the spoke. So we need to create one hub VNet with this particular IP address range. We'll see it. Go to the virtual network. So we have the hub VNet created. If you see the hub VNet created, you have the bastion also enabled. So we deployed the Bastion as well. Bastion is also ready. The Bastion name is hub-vnet-bastion. So now, if you consider the same scenario here, so we created one hub VNet and we created one Bastion as well. Now we'll come to this scenario. We need to create one spoke VNet. So I'll create a spoke VNet. I have created one spoke VNet also. The spoke VNet is also ready. So if you go to the subnet, I already have one subnet. For example, we can consider default subnet only. So now our default subnet is also ready. Next one, what you need to do, you need to create one VM. within this subnet, within this spoke subnet. Okay, so we'll create a VM, go to the VM. So I created one VM called this one, and this is kept under the spoke subnet. Okay, the subnet, if you see here, that is spoke one default subnet. I have kept it. So my VM is also ready. I created under the subnet. So coming to the NSG part, we'll check is there NSG available for the subnet. So if you go to the subnet, default subnet here, subnets. So I don't have any network security group. Let me create one network security group for this. So click on network security groups. So I want to create one network security group here. Okay, so I need to select the respective group and I need to select the NSG for default subnet, and the location which I kept is West US 2, that is my spoke subnet. And then next I'll simply create. So I'll specify the regions as well. The hub I created under East US, and the spoke I created under West US 2. Okay, so I'm going to create a network security group. So once network security group is created, we need to allow firewall port of 3389 to accept any connections to the VM, because to connect a Windows virtual machine, we need a port of 3389. RDP port needs to be open. So we'll try to open that port. If you go to the NSA default, you go to the inbound security tool, I don't have the default port. So let me add that port. So my port I'm going to open is RDP 3389. So I'm going to allow this with priority 100. So I created one port firewall rule that is called 3389 needs to be allowed. Now I need to associate this particular network security group to that VNet. I have the VNet spoke one, I have the subnet default one. So I'm assigning my network security group to the default. Now, if you observe, so I created a spoke VNet, I created a subnet. This subnet is occupied or protected with network security group, and I have the VM that is peering between east to S2, west to S2 virtual networks. That we will finish it. So we'll go to the virtual networks. We'll go to the hub VNet. Now, if you go to the peerings, we need to add the peering. The peering name you can give it as spoke to hub. And yeah, the network I'm going to connect this spoke one from here. I need both connections. Here you need to do is hub to spoke, and you need to accept both and click on add, so that the peering will be established. Okay, it will take a minute and it will try to add the peerings. Yes, peering is completed. Now, if you go to the VM, and if you try to connect by using Bastion, so now it must show the Bastion is hub VNet Bastion. I'm going to connect. Okay. So the password I need to give, the username is Azure user. The password I need to give. So yes, I have created, enter the password. Now if you click on connect, it will connect the VM. See, so this way you can connect your private IP enabled VMs by using Bastion. So you can see the server is getting logged in. So you will get the VM and you can able to log into the VM like this by using the Bastion. Okay. So this way you are, see, you can see the server is connected now. Okay. So this way you need to work on the Bastion setup, and by using IP address, private IP enabled VMs by using Azure Bastion, you can connect in this way. Next topic we'll discuss about, see, this VM is created and we are able to log in this VM by using Bastion. This is absolutely fine. Now there is an interesting topic, how you can take backup of this VM. Okay, we're talking about the backup now, how you can take the backup. So to do the backup, so you need to go to the same VM, you need to go to the backup plus disaster recovery. So if you click on the backup part, so how you can take the backup? Initially, these virtual machines will be backup to the recovery service vault. Okay, so if you want to create a new recovery service vault, you can create it from here itself, or else you can create a new recovery service vault from the search button itself. Click on recovery service vaults. So here, if you click on create a recovery service vault. Yes, what is the resource group you want to keep, and what is the name you are going to give. The vault name is test recovery service vault, and you need to select the region where you are going to keep this recovery service vault. Okay, and the advantage of recovery service vault is you can utilize a single recovery service vault to backup any kind of VM. Any kind of VM means any VM created under any subscription as well as any region. Okay, so let's say there is two subscriptions, one is prod and test. You can use one recovery service vault to store both subscription VMs. Okay, so this is called cross subscription restored. And next one is redundancy part. So you are talking about the recovery service vault, how much redundancy I need to apply for this recovery service vault. If it is geo redundant, means it will maintain its replicas across multiple regions, or if it is a zone redundant, it will keep its replica across multiple zones. If you talk about locally redundant, that means it will keep its local copy within the West US region only. So that is about redundancy. So we'll talk about availability zones and availability sets. During that time, we'll talk about what is meant by the geo redundant, zone redundant, locally redundant. What is meant by these three? So we will discuss about this. For now, we'll keep locally redundant one. The next one is go to the encryption part. How you are going to encrypt this recovery service vault? If you are using manage, Microsoft Manage, then it's absolutely fine. You want to generate one public key or private key, and you want to secure that using that keys, you can use your customer managed key. So here you need to create one key, or you can store your key in the key vault and you can load it from there also. So we'll talk about what is meant by key vault, how you can store the keys over there. All these things we will discuss. For now, I'm using Microsoft Managed Key only. Next one is the vault properties. So what are the vault properties? So it is meant by the immutability. Vault properties we have immutability. What is meant by immutability? Immutability is nothing but whatever the purpose to create the recovery service vault is to store the backups of the virtual machines. Okay, if you enable, if you are disable this, if you are unchecking this one, what is meant by immutability means you can manage them, or you can do certain operations on the backup items. For example, I have the VM, the backup is stored in the recovery service vault, and I want to delete it, or I want to rename it, I want to modify it. So if you are unchecking this option, you can do that. But if you check on enable immutability, you are not allowed to any operations on the backed up items. So that is the purpose of immutability. The recommended approach is better to keep checklist so that there is no possibility of modifying that backed up items. Okay, next part is networking. Coming to the networking, so you are storing your Azure VMs backups in the recovery service vault, and if you want to get that backups, how you are going to allow? If you allow public access from all the networks, from any network, they will come to this recovery service vault and they can get your VM backup, or else you can select Denny public access. If you select the Denny public access so that no access from the network is permitted, then how I can access this recovery service vault? In that scenario, you are denying the public access. So how you are allowing the private access? This private access can be enabled by using private endpoint. So what is this meant? What is meant by this private endpoint? What is meant by all? We will discuss in a separate session. What is meant by this private endpoint? How we will create this. So this private endpoint can be created for any resource. The simple reason to create a private endpoint is we are not allowing public access, and we need to allow certain private access only, not all the networks. Only dedicated private IPs only we need to access. How we can access it? By using the private endpoint that we will discuss. For now, I am allowing from the public network access only. And next part is tags. And next one is review and create. So I'm going to create one recovery service vault. So once the recovery service vault is created, you can take the backup of the VMs from recovery service vault, or else you can go to your VM and from there also you can send your VM backup to that respective recovery service vault. Both operations you can do. So if you come here, if you go to click on backup, it will ask you the recovery service vault. So what is the recovery service? Vault available. I just created test-recovery service Vault. So it is asking that we have an existing recovery service Vault. So better to use that one. No, I don't want that one. I want to create new one. Yes, you can create it. So better one is you can create one recovery service Vault and you can utilize it here. I selected this one. Now it is asking the backup types. How you want to take me the backup. If you select the enhanced one, what it is saying, multiple backups per day. That means, for example, I want to take this VM backup for every 1 hour, for every 2 hours, for every 4 hours, or for every 8 hours. In that scenario, that is called multiple backups. You need to select enhanced one. Okay. So if you take standard one, it will take only once a day backup, only one backup a day. You can select any one of this. After that, there might be one policy. You have to create one policy, how many times I want to take the backup and what time I want to take the backup. For example, I want to take hourly backup. Start time is 8 a.m. So when you need to start, once it started at 8 a.m., hourly backup you said every 4 hours I need to take this backup till 12 hours. Okay. So the time zone you can select it. Or else I want to take daily backup, you can take the daily backup. Or else you can take the weekly backup on which day I want to take the backup. Okay, this is about backup part. So you took the backup. How many days you want me to allow to restore that backup? So if you select weekly backup, if you say the retention, the instant restore is set to 7 days, that means today you take the backup. After 7 days, means within the 7 days, you can restore that VM within the 7 days. But if you select one as a retention date, then after 1 day, this backup cannot be restored. So that is the reason I'm taking the backup, but how many days I want to allow to take or to retain that backup. So currently the allowed limit is 1 to 30 days. So the reason to give 30 days is, see, why you are taking the backup. If something is happened to that VM, you need to restore it. So if you are facing any issue with the VM, you will get to know by 30 minutes or 15 minutes or 1 hour only, because you are getting alerts and people are getting reported that VM is not updating or not working as expected. So within 1 hour, maximum within 1 day, you will come and you will restore it. So there is no meaning to wait for 30 days, right? If the VM is shut down or if the VM is not working, then you will not keep that VM for 30 days. Okay, that is the reason they are giving the days maximum as 30 days. So within the 30 days, at any point of time, you can come and you can restore that backup. That is about the frequency part and instant restore. Next one is retention. So if you want to retain for more than certain days, then you can keep that retention points here. So what about the retentions taken daily backups, weekly backups, hourly backups that are meant here. And coming to the enabled tiring, the tiring option is not required. So if you want to move that particular backups, whatever I have taken to archive tire, so that is what it is talking about. You want me to archive them. Okay, you want to talking about consistency type. That means if something is happened, okay, if something is happened to that VM, if it is getting crashed during that time, so if you want to take that snapshot, okay, then it will take that snapshot, or else it will take the regular snapshots. Better to uncheck this one. So better to enable only frequency. That is more than enough. If you want to store your backups in a dedicated resource group, yes, you can keep that backup in a dedicated resource group, whatever the name you have given here. So every backup will be created in a dedicated resource group. It's optional only, but don't use this one. Let's keep it in the recovery service vault itself. That's it. Just create a policy once the policy is created. And then if you want to take the backup of disk also, anyway, I'm taking backup of my virtual machine. Along with my virtual machine, you want me to take data disk, operation system disk, whatever the disk you want to take the backup, yes, that option also you need to enable this one. Anyway, this policy you are getting in a first time. In future, you come here, if you want to add a new disk, that disk also you need to take the backup in future. Yes, you can check this option called include future disk, so that whatever the disk you are going in future, later you have no need to come to this backup options and no need to add that disk. Instead, you can select this option called include future disk, so that whatever the new disk you are adding in the future, those also comes under the backups part. Just enable the backup so that it will enable the backup and it will take that backup to the recovery service world. So you come to the recovery service world. Here you can see the backups part. If you come, okay, if you come to the recovery service world, what, okay, this one I have created, right? So if you come to the recovery server world here, from here also you can create a backup. If you click on backup, here also you can create a backup, not only from the VM. So what you are going to take the backup? You are going to take the backup of VM, or you are going to take the backup of Azure file share, or you are going to take the backup of Azure SQL server in Azure VM or SAP HANA. At the moment, there are the four possible options we have to take the backups. For now, I'm going to take the backup of virtual machine. I'll select the virtual machine. Then if you click on the backup, it will ask you which VM, which policy we need to take, everything you need to select. For example, enabled, I have selected. So now it is asking which virtual machine I want to take the backup. Click on add, select the VM and take the backup. So on both ways, you can enable the backup from VM level or else from the recovery service vault level. And in the recovery service, there is one more option called site recovery. You can, if you want, you can use site recovery also. If you use site recovery, what it will do, it will not take the backup. Instead, it will replicate that virtual machine in another region. So that you can access that VM from another region. But prefer to use backups only. Don't use site recovery. Okay. So by using this backup, you can create it. If you want to see the backup items, you will see the protected items here. Click on backup items. Here you can see if there is any backup taken. If you see the Azure virtual machine, the backup it was taken as one. Okay, you can see that VM. So click on the VM, it will show you the backup the items. So currently the backup is pending, it is taking the backup. So this once this backup is ready, so we have the options here. If you want to take the backup now itself, you can take it irrespective of the policy. Or if you want to restore the VM, you can restore the VM. If something is happened, you come here and you can restore the VM also. Okay. If no, I don't want to restore it. I want to recover the file. So if something I get deleted unexpectedly, I want to restore that VM or I want to recover that file to the specific time, then you can recover it. If you want to stop the backup, you can stop the backup. If you want to delete the backup, you can delete the backup. So there are many options available. Okay, so this is about recovery service vault. This is about taking the backups. So now we saw how we can take the backup to the recovery service vault. So generally in your scenarios, sometimes you may get a chance or you may get a requirement that, so at the moment, the current size of the VM is one virtual CPU and 1 GB memory. You may get a request that I need to increase the size of the VM from one virtual CPU to two virtual CPU or from 1 GB memory to the 4 GB memory or next available size. You can see the size is standard B1S. I want to upgrade to the B2S or something. So I want to resize my VM. How I can do that? So if you want to resize the VM, please keep it in mind. If you want to resize the VM, better to stop the VM. Better to stop the VM and resize it. Once your resize is completed, then you can start your VM. Okay, so that is the recommended approach. So now I'm going to increase, I'm going to resize my VM. Before that, I just clicked on stop and the VM is getting stopped. Meanwhile, if you want to resize it, you need to go to availability plus scale and click on size. If you click on size, so it will take you to the sizes. So, okay, you can select whatever the size you want. While creating the VM also, you will get the same option. Later also, you can utilize the same option. For example, I want to go for this B2S or I want to go for any other things like, for example, B1S I have at the moment. So I want to go for any other series. Mm, mm, mm. Here itself we'll try B2S. If we go click on the B2S, here I have a two virtual CPUs and 4 GB memory. Then click on resize. That's it. Do you want to resize to the size B2S? Yes. Okay. It anyway, changing the size will cause it be restarted. Anyway, I have stopped it, then it's absolutely fine. Just simply click on the resize. That's it. By using this option, you can resize this VM. This much simple it is. If you want to lower it, you can lower it. If you want to upgrade it, you can upgrade it by using this size option. Yes, your VM is resized. Now we can see the resized size. Just refresh this or restart this. You will see the latest size with two virtual CPUs and 4 GB. You can see it is updated to B2S. And you can see it's a simple click away. But what about the physical servers? If it is a physical server, you need to purchase a new server with additional CPUs with additional memory. But here, without disturbing your VM, without disturbing anything, it just upgraded its size to the whatever the size you require. That is about the VM sizes part, VM resize part. And next thing we need to discuss about the image, how you can take the image. So for example, there is one option called capture. Come to the VM, come to the capture. Here there is an option called image. Okay, so coming to the restore point, either you can restore your VM by going to the recovery service vault by selecting the latest backup. If you want, you can select from there also, or else you can restore from here also. For now, we are talking about capturing the image of the VM. You can take the click on the image. The reason to create an image is to create this VM, to create a virtual machine scale set or to create a VM based on the existing image also. For this both purpose, we need an image. So if we select on that capture image, it is asking this option. So simply if you want to share it to the gallery as a VM version, yes, I'm sending into the gallery. So I'm not capturing only, so I'm sending this to the gallery because I need to store it at one place to create a VM or to create a VMSS. That's it. So once, just keep one thing in your mind. Whenever you are creating an image, right, for the VM, once the image is created, then this VM cannot be usable. This VM cannot be usable. The reason to create an image is, for example, I need certain kind of virtual machine for my environment where all the things are pre-configured. For example, I have 10 applications must be installed for my VMs, which I am going to create in my environment. In that scenario, so you need to go to every place. For example, I'm creating one VM here. In this VM, I need to install 10 applications. So next time, if you are creating one more VM, and I need to make sure that on that VM also, I need to create these 10 applications. Every time I can't do that. Meanwhile, what I will do, I will create a VM and I will take a image from this VM. I will convert this VM or I will take a image from this VM so that this image consists of this VM and this VM consists of all these applications installed. Next time, whenever I am creating any virtual machine, instead of going for the new virtual machine, I will take this image as a reference. So based on this VM, a new VM will be created. Based on this image, a new VM is created with this VM consists of all the applications already installed, the default one. This is the reference to one. So this is the reason we need to take or we need to convert your virtual machine into an image. On top of that image, you can create any number of VMs. So each VM consists of already pre-designed things or pre-installed ones. So we need to create an image. If you click on that capture image, you will get here. Here is a get an option. Yes, share it to a gallery as a VM image version. So I'm going to share this to the gallery. What is the gallery? This gallery you need to select here. And there is one more option called automatically delete this virtual machine after creating the image. Anyway, this VM is not usable. So if you want, after creating this image, if you want to delete this VM by default, you can, or else you can uncheck it. If you want, I can show you after creating this VM that VM is, after creating this image, that VM is not usable. That I will show you. The next one is target Azure Compute Gallery, from where I'm going to share this image. I don't have an existing image gallery. So if you want to create, you can create it. The gallery is, for example, shared gallery. I can consider. Okay, only let us. Fine. I'll select this. Yeah. If you click on OK, then it's fine. Coming to the operating system state. If you want to use generalized, VMs created from this image requires host name, admin user, and other VM related setup to be completed on the first boot. Or if you use specialized one, then it requires anything. So better to take specialized one, not generalized one. Okay, so that it will preserve all the things. It will preserve all the things, including your host name and including your username and password. No, I don't want to preserve my host name. Whenever I am creating a new VM, and it should be created with my own name and it should be with my own username and password. You can use generalized one. It's up to you. Next one is VM image definition. So if you want to put your image in a gallery, you need to define one name for that image. That is about VM definition. I don't have an exist one. Now I am creating a new one. So VM image definition name. For example, whatever the name you are going to give, you can give it. The operating system type for this VM is Windows. That is the reason it is taking Windows only. The VM type is generation 2 type of VM and type is trusted launch one, which we selected. And the architecture is 64 only, and these are the default ones, whatever you are selected from the VM itself. And next one is the publisher is Windows Server. If it is Linux, it will come as a Linux. And at the moment, the VM image I am utilizing is 2022 data center. Just that's it. The default ones it will take. And then version numbers, you can give the version number as 0.0.1 or you can give 1.0.0. It's up to you. Any version numbers you can give. And exclude from latest means, so whenever you are creating an image, right, if you want to use the version number, it will use version number, or if you keep latest as a tag, it will take the latest. Okay, it will take the latest. So if you want, you can take the end of the life date. For example, this VM image can be lost for these many days. You can select that end of the date and everything. And lock deleting. For example, if you want to delete that image, no, I don't want to allow to delete it. If you want, you can click it lock. Shallow replication is not required. And then replication part, at the moment, I'm using only standard one, standard LRS, locally redundant storage. Only one copy I'm maintaining. For example, whatever the image you are taking it, right? I want to maintain it in two regions. Then you can select as you two, and you can select one more region here. How many replicas I want to maintain, all this stuff. So that it will maintain that image in that many replicas. If something is happened, that image is stored in the multiple regions. That's about. So when if you click on review and create, it will check the basic validations from the options we have selected. If you click on create, it will try to create one image on top of that virtual machine. Okay, so if you observe here, one shared gallery is created and image definition is created, and the image is going to take the backup with version 1.0.0.0. So as we have enabled, we have unchecked the option that VM will not be deleted. So if you go here, if you go to the VM, whatever you have created, so if you see here, there is no options. It will not be usable. Okay, that is the reason it is asking while taking the image, better you can delete it once the EM is created, once the image is created. That is the option it is getting. So anyway, it is not usable, you can delete it. Next, if you go to the galleries, you have an option called Azure Compute Galleries. You can see the gallery created. And inside that gallery, so you will see the definitions also created. This is the definition with the VM. So this is the definition created. Under this definition, you can see the versions as well. This is the VM image version. So if you click on this image version, so here there are option called if you want to create a VM on top of this image, yes, you can create by using create VM option. By using this create VM option, you can create your VM. So here it will select by default this image. Instead, previously what image you selected? You selected Windows or Linux like that. But now you can see what image you are getting. The previously taken the image backup, right? Or created the image that you are getting here. So with this, you can create an VM with existing image. Okay. So the rest of the options are same. So this is about the image creation and come push that image to the gallery part. Next time, if new image gets created, then that will become as version 1.0.2, 1.2 or 2.0.0 or 3.04 like that. You'll get that versions.